Title. The price of betrayal. I should have seen the signs sooner. Looking back, everything was clear, like an old movie reel replaying in slow motion. The late-night work meetings. The phone calls that conveniently ended when I walked into the room. The sudden interest in dressing better for casual Fridays. A kaleidoscope of red flags I ignored because I was too blinded by love or perhaps too consumed by my own insecurities to believe the truth. I thought Owen loved me. But love, as it turns out, is often just a mask some people wear until they grow tired of the role. The night my world fell apart began innocently enough. Owen had texted me early that morning to say he'd be working late again, which hardly surprised me. He worked as a marketing executive for a tech firm, and their upcoming product launch was apparently crunch time. I didn't complain. After all, I worked hard at my own job as a graphic designer, so I understood the demands of a deadline. But lately, something felt wrong. Something I couldn't quite articulate but couldn't ignore. It wasn't one thing. It was everything. *1. Cracks in the foundation. The first time I noticed the shift was 6 months ago. Owen had been distant, colder somehow. Gone were the playful texts throughout the day or the spontaneous date nights where he'd whisk me away to my favorite ramen bar downtown. Instead, he was always distracted, his gaze drifting toward his phone during dinner. His responses curt and mechanical when I asked about his day. One night, I had finally worked up the nerve to ask him outright if something was wrong. "Are you okay? You've been acting strange," I had said, keeping my voice calm despite the anxiety gnawing at my chest. He flinched, as though I'd caught him in the middle of something. But his answer was smooth. Too smooth. A practiced lie, though I didn't realize it then. "Babe, you're imagining things," he replied, leaning over to kiss my forehead. "Work's just been crazy. I promise. It's nothing." I wanted to believe him. I needed to believe him. I smiled and let the subject drop, even though his reassurance didn't settle the unease bubbling beneath my skin. By the time I caught him, months later, I hated myself for how easily I had let his lies pull me back into the comforting delusion that everything was fine. *******2. The discovery. It was a text message. That's how it all unraveled. Owen had been careless, arrogant, even. He left his phone on the kitchen counter while he was in the shower. I hadn't intended to snoop, but when it buzzed with a flurry of notifications, my curiosity got the better of me. His lock screen lit up, and that's when I saw it. "Can't wait to see you tonight. Baby red heart." The name wasn't mine. It was Rebecca. A hollow ache spread through my chest as the realization hit me like cold water. My fingers trembled as I unlocked his phone. Yes, I knew his password. We'd been together for 3 years. After all, what I found made my stomach churn. The chat history between Owen and Rebecca was extensive. Weeks, maybe months, of messages declaring how much he missed her and couldn't wait to hold her again. My heart pounded in my ears as I scrolled through their exchanges, reading promises of secret meetups at hotels, photos of intimate moments they'd shared, and declarations of love he'd never spoken to me anymore. I was frozen in place as the words blurred together, my mind unable to process the betrayal. My knees felt weak, and I gripped the edge of the counter to steady myself. How long had this been going on? Was I some kind of idiot for not noticing sooner? When Owen emerged from the bathroom, towel slung across his shoulders, I couldn't hide the fury bubbling inside me. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. My voice was eerily calm. A quiet storm building before the inevitable destruction. "Who's Rebecca?" I asked, holding his phone out like it was the smoking gun in a murder trial. For the first time in months, he wasn't smooth. His face drained of color. his jaw slackening as he tried to grasp for an excuse that wasn't there. I don't know what you're talking about, he stammered, sweat dripping from his temples despite the steam from his shower still lingering in the air. I laughed, a bitter, hollow sound that echoed through the kitchen. Don't insult me, Owen. I read everything. Asterisk. My throat burned as I spat the words, each syllable laced with venom. He was silent for a moment, then shifted into full defense mode. It's not what it looks like, he began, raising his hands as though I were some wild animal he was trying to talk down. Oh, really? I snapped, my voice rising now, because it looks a hell of a lot like you've been sleeping with her while I've been sitting here like an idiot, trusting you. Owen tried to spin lie after lie. How it was only a mistake, how she didn't mean anything, how he'd been stressed and vulnerable. But none of it mattered. I had evidence, and no amount of backpedaling could erase the fact that he had betrayed me. You don't get to play the victim here, I said, my voice trembling with suppressed rage. You broke us. You. My voice cracked, the tears I had been holding back threatening to spill over. You don't deserve me. He tried to reach for my hand, but I pulled away, and that was the moment I decided I wasn't going to let him walk away unscathed. Asterisk 3. The plan. Revenge isn't an impulse. It's a strategy. And if Owen thought he could walk away with his reputation intact, he was sorely mistaken. I spent the next week plotting, meticulously piecing together every detail I had learned. Rebecca wasn't just some random fling. She was a coworker, a junior copywriter at his firm. The thought of them sneaking around the office made my blood boil. But it also gave me an idea. Owen's company was notorious for its strict policies regarding relationships between employees. Office romances were frowned upon, and any breach of conduct could result in immediate termination. If they wanted discretion, they'd have to be very careful. And Owen? He hadn't been careful at all. I started by gathering evidence. Screenshots of their messages, photos they had exchanged, receipts for hotel stays, all of it neatly compiled into a folder. Then, I waited for the perfect opportunity. A week later, Owen was scheduled to present at the company's quarterly meeting, a major event where he'd been tasked with pitching his team's latest marketing strategy to the board. The stakes were high. Success here meant a promotion, a step closer to the executive suite he'd been coveting for years. The night before the meeting, I sent an anonymous email to the company's HR department, attaching the folder of evidence along with a brief message. Your employee, Owen Jacobs, has been engaging in an inappropriate relationship with Rebecca Jones, a junior staff member. This behavior violates company policy. Please take appropriate action. I signed the email as a concerned party and hit send. ###4. The fallout. The next morning, I watched everything unfold. I had always loved Owen's confidence, or what I once mistook for confidence. He was charming, charismatic, the type of person who could command a room with ease. But as he walked into the meeting that day, there was a tension in his shoulders, a nervous edge to his step that hadn't been there before. I had overheard him rehearsing his pitch the night before, pacing the living room and rattling off marketing jargon like a man possessed. He wanted this win so badly he could taste it. But as he stood in front of the board, mid-presentation, his phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen, his expression faltering for just a fraction of a second before he recovered. I knew what that text said. HR had contacted him, requesting a private meeting immediately after his pitch. For the remainder of his presentation, Owen was visibly rattled. His once smooth delivery became disjointed, his usual poise giving way to stammered phrases and awkward pauses. The board members exchanged glances, their skepticism palpable. By the time Owen finished, The room was silent, a stark contrast to the applause he had likely imagined. One of the executives cleared his throat, thanked him curtly, and dismissed the meeting. Owen's face was pale as he exited the conference room. But it wasn't over yet. Not by a long shot. #5. Public humiliation. HR didn't waste time. By lunchtime, the entire office was buzzing with rumors about Owen and Rebecca, while the specifics remained under wraps. It wasn't long before the whispers turned into outright speculation. "Owen's in trouble," whispered one employee near the break room. "Did you hear about Rebecca?" "Apparently. They're both getting investigated," another replied, glancing nervously over their shoulder. I sat outside the building in my car, sipping coffee and savoring the chaos I had unleashed. Owen had always prided himself on being well-liked, respected, even admired. He had cultivated an image of professionalism that masked his sleazy, manipulative tendencies. But now, that image was crumbling, and there wasn't a damn thing he could do to stop it. #6. Confrontation. That evening, Owen barged into our apartment. His face twisted into an expression I could only describe as desperation. "You did this," he hissed, slamming the door behind him. I didn't flinch. I had expected this confrontation, and I was ready. "You have no one to blame but yourself," I replied coolly, leaning against the kitchen counter as I faced him. "You ruined my life," he shouted, his voice cracking under the weight of his anger. "No, Owen, you ruined your own life," I shot back, my tone unwavering. "You lied. You cheated. You thought you could get away with it. But guess what? Actions have consequences." He glared at me, his fists clenched at his sides. But he didn't respond. Deep down, he knew I was right. #7. Moving on. Owen was fired the next day. Rebecca, too. Their office scandal had become the talk of the industry, tarnishing their reputations beyond repair. As for me, I packed my things and left the apartment we had shared, determined to rebuild my life from the ground up. In the weeks that followed, I found peace in the chaos. Sometimes, revenge isn't just about retribution. It's about reclaiming your power, your dignity, and your sense of self. Owen had taken everything from me, but in the end, I got the last laugh. And as I stood on my own 2 feet, stronger than ever, I realized one undeniable truth. I didn't need him. I never did. #7. Moving on. Expanded. Owen was fired the next day. Rebecca was terminated as well. Their office scandal, an affair conducted in violation of company policy, had become the talk not only of their workplace but also the broader marketing industry. A few gossip blogs even picked up the story, including one known for publishing insider scoops from major firms. Marketing exec fired over office affair, violating company policy. The headline read. Beneath it was a blurred photo of Owen leaving the office. His expression haunted, his posture defeated. I wasn't ashamed to admit I stared at that photo for hours, drinking in every detail. The once pristine suit looked rumpled, his usually clean-shaven face now shadowed with stubble. He looked smaller somehow, as if the weight of the humiliation had stripped away the parts of him that once seemed untouchable. Despite my satisfaction, a surprising wave of emotions followed. That photo wasn't just a representation of my revenge. It was the tangible end of a chapter in my life. This was the man I had loved, trusted. I had built my world around him. And now there was nothing left but ashes. The realization hit me with a force I hadn't expected. That night, as I lay alone in the bed we used to share, the emptiness of the apartment felt suffocating. The quiet no longer felt peaceful. It felt accusatory. How had I been so blind? How had I let myself fall for someone capable of such deceit? I stared at the ceiling and thought about who Owen had been when we first met. The early dates where he couldn't stop smiling at me. The way he used to laugh at my terrible jokes. It was easier, back then, to believe in the idea of us. An idea he had destroyed, piece by piece, with every lie and betrayal. But in the end, maybe that version of Owen was never real. ###8. Unexpected consequences. The fallout from Owen's public humiliation reached farther than I anticipated. A week after his termination, I received a message I never expected in my inbox. A long, rambling email from Rebecca. The subject line was simple. "You win." Curiosity outweighed my reluctance, and I opened it. "I don't know why you did this, but I hope it was worth it. You ruined me. You ruined Owen. We lost everything because you couldn't just let it go. I didn't even know about you until recently. I shouldn't have been dragged into this mess. If you think you've fixed anything, think again, because all you've done is destroy lives. Hope you sleep well at night." I'd expected bitterness, anger, maybe even some begging for reconciliation. But this? It surprised me. She was playing the victim, painting herself as collateral damage. But her words had an edge of desperation that betrayed her self-righteousness. I read it twice, then closed the tab without responding. Rebecca wasn't my concern. She made her choices, and now she was paying the price. ###*9. Closure in chaos. In the weeks that followed, I focused on myself. Moving out of the apartment had been a challenge, but leaving was the first step toward reclaiming my freedom. I rented a cozy one-bedroom loft downtown, far enough from the memories of Owen but close enough to the city to feel alive. I spent hours transforming the space, painting the walls soft shades of gray and decorating with plants, art pieces, and fairy lights. Each stroke of paint felt ceremonial, as though I was erasing the remnants of my old life and creating something entirely mine. It wasn't easy, though. There were nights I'd sit on the floor surrounded by unopened boxes, tears streaking my face as I grappled with the loneliness. Owen had been my partner, my confidant, my supposed soulmate, and now, he was nothing, just someone I used to know. Someone who had shown me that even the people closest to us can be strangers. But even through the pain, there was clarity. For the first time in months, maybe years, I heard my own voice in the silence. I wasn't just a victim of Owen's betrayal. I had survived it, and surviving meant I was so much stronger than I ever gave myself credit for. ###10. The perfect ending. A month after Owen's firing, I heard from my best friend, Sarah. She called me late one evening as I was curled up on the couch, binge-watching a trashy reality show with a tub of ice cream in hand. "Are you sitting down right now?" she asked, her voice brimming with excitement. "Yes," I replied, confused. "What's going on?" She laughed. "You're not gonna believe this. Owen's breakup with Rebecca? It's officially public. They imploded. Completely." I froze, the spoon halfway to my mouth. "What are you talking about?" "Apparently, Rebecca dumped him as soon as everything went south. Rumor has it she's blaming him for the affair being exposed since he was the senior in the relationship. She's been trashing him left and right, telling people she was manipulated into it and painting herself as the victim. Meanwhile, Owen's been blacklisted from half the marketing firms in the area. He even tried to reach out to one of my cousin's companies, and they turned him down flat. For a moment, I didn't speak. Part of me felt overwhelmingly vindicated. All my planning had led to something far more satisfying than I had ever dreamed. But there was another part, one that pitied Owen in a way I hadn't expected. It wasn't because I forgave him or felt guilty for what I had done. Rather, it was the simple recognition that karma had taken over, delivering justice even more brutally than I could have. Wow, I murmured, finally setting the ice cream aside. I didn't think it would get that bad. Sarah snorted. Are you kidding? He deserved every second of it. And Rebecca? She's gonna burn out, too. People like her don't stay innocent forever. As Sarah continued recounting the drama, a flurry of gossip that would have been better suited to the tabloids, I couldn't help but smile. I wasn't bitter. I wasn't angry. For the first time since Owen had broken my heart, I felt light. ******11. Looking ahead. Months later, I stood on the rooftop of my building, watching the sun dip below the horizon. The city was alive beneath me, its lights flickering like stars in the night. The air smelled faintly of rain with a hint of gasoline from the traffic below. But I didn't mind. It was invigorating, reminding me that life was still moving, still growing, even after everything I'd endured. I wasn't the same person I had been before Owen's betrayal. I had changed, and I wasn't sure if that was for better or worse. Trust came harder now, and the idea of falling in love again felt foreign. But I wasn't closed off to it. Not entirely. I thought about Owen sometimes. Not in a longing way, but in a reflective one. He had taught me something valuable, something I would carry with me forever. Some people wear masks so convincing you don't realize it's a facade until it slips. As for him, he was just another lesson, another chapter in my story. I had moved on, built a new life, and found strength in the aftermath. And standing there, watching the city lights blink in the distance, I knew one thing for certain. Revenge might not heal wounds, but it can bring closure. And for me, that closure was all I needed. ****Epilogue. A final twist. 6 months after everything, I received an unexpected call. It was Owen. At first, I almost didn't pick up, but curiosity won out, and I pressed the answer button. My heart thudding in my chest. His voice was hoarse, quieter than I remembered. "Hi," he began awkwardly. "I hope you don't mind me calling." "What do you want, Owen?" I asked sharply. He hesitated, the silence stretching between us like the vast canyon that now separated our lives. "I just wanted to apologize for everything. I know it doesn't change anything, but I messed up. I really cared about you, and I hate that I hurt you." His words hung in the air, but I didn't feel the satisfaction I thought I would. "I appreciate the apology," I said finally, my tone detached. "But you should have thought about that before you lied to me." He sighed heavily, like the weight of his guilt was finally suffocating him. "I know." And just like that, I hung up. Owen might have wanted closure, but this wasn't about him anymore. It wasn't about revenge or humiliation. It was about me reclaiming my story. And I had found my peace. Word count 2,284 words.